At the beginning of 2016, I began to feel a tingling sensation in my body. Something strange that would get worse and worse. My arms would get numb. I'd feel an inexplicable tiredness. It was really an abnormal tiredness. I started feeling down. I even started to feel discouraged.
I thought he was behaving strangely because he sat on the bed, he crossed his hands on his lap, and he was checking for something that wasn't there. Then he said, "Maria, I'm afraid." I looked at him and asked, "What are you afraid of?" "I don't know, I'm afraid."
When talking to a colleague at work, he said, "You have a spiritual problem. You should look for a church. Because it seems to me that you have depression or something like that." I went once, then twice. It felt good. I'd sit there. The pastor preached, but I didn't understand what he was saying.
The problems were still there.
Maria remembered there was a Grace of God church near her former working place and decided to invite her husband to go.
He looked at me and said, "Okay, will you go with me?" "Yes."
When I set foot at that church, I felt something different. When I heard a song, I felt a great strength embracing me. And when I looked around the church, I saw it was crowded. People were singing, and it seemed that something had popped out of my ear at that moment, and I started to cry. I cried like a baby. I cried out of joy. I felt something powerful embracing me. When the pastor preached, it seemed I was the only one at church. So you come and convert because God has a plan for your life.
The pastor said, "Brother, you are going through a difficult spiritual problem, but if you seek the Lord, you will surely be delivered."
The moment I had an encounter with Jesus, he changed my life completely. I was a man who was lost. I was a man who had no perspective in life. I hadn't been able to eat properly for over a week. After we left the church, we went to a restaurant nearby, and I had a hearty meal that day. I went to church next day, and I talked to the pastor again, and I became steady. And then, I think, in the first baptisms event, it was on August 28, 2016, after the first Holy Supper, I was baptized.
His baptism was awesome. It was an important decision that he made. I did the same because of his wife. At every service, we always learned something new. I never saw something so amazing as God did in his life.
Since the day I was baptized, I've been doing God's work. I work with the evangelism team. I feel such great joy whenever I go out to evangelize, along with my brethren, when we hand out flyers. Life has been wonderful. God's word spoke to me and I accepted it. I give tithes, I give my offerings too, and today my financial life is much more organized. I have God's guidance and I make a point of being organized. I have a new car, I've bought a new one. I did a civil service exam and I was hired in 2011. Ever since then, I've been working for the city. I'm a civil servant worker.
We managed to finish the renovation in our house. The floor had no tiles, but we managed to install tiles. The house is clean and organized. I have found God after our conversation, who without a shadow of doubt has always been by my side. We are three, my husband and I and Jesus in our life. This God I've encountered and who changed my husband's life is really wonderful, and I'm very happy.
Only Jesus saves. There's no other way. He said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life."